It's Austin and Jeanette, and welcome to week 2 of the Debt-Free Bootcamp Beta,
where you're going to learn all about how to use your emergency fund, what those mean, and use the debt snowball, and figure out some side hustles. It's going to be awesome.
If you're new here, consider subscribing.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey guys, it's Austin and Jeanette again.
And we're here for week 2 of Debt-Free Bootcamp.
Are you guys ready?
And I'm ready. Happy Monday. Happy Christmas week.
Yep.
Jingle. So my daughter's been obsessed with Jingle Bells and Wish You Merry Christmas. So I've heard that song, both songs, a million times. So if I just break out a song, forgive me.
So, leave a comment in the comments right now whether or not Christmas or New Year's is your most favorite holiday. It depends on, you just get to choose between the two.
Yeah.
We don't care if it's New Year's or if it's 4th of July or Halloween. Just between the two, Christmas or New Year's.
Yeah,
your
Christmas
favorite.
or New Year's.
Your favorite is?
What's yours?
I think I like New Year's more.
Do you really?
Less anticipation of what people expect my gift for them to be.
So, I've always liked New Year's more. But I think now that we have Annalise, I feel like I might like Christmas more because I want to see, how excited she gets. I know she doesn't understand, Christmas yet, but it'll be very exciting to see. So it might change to Christmas, but as of right now, it's still New Year's. But I can't drink because I'm pregnant, so.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, what do you guys think so far in terms of this last week and your mini budgets? Do you think you've changed anything at all right before the Christmas season? Has it impacted your Christmas season? Yeah, if it hasn't, that's fine too. We're just starting off, and we know Christmas and December are a big time frame of the year to actually make changes. But now we're looking ahead. After Christmas week, we're going to start looking into New Year's and your January budget. So that's kind of where we wanted to kick things off in this video. Is you just talk about your January budget and what 2020 is going to look like for you, and why it's important just to start looking at those things right now.
So January budget, like he said, is we got this. So you did a quick start budget last week, and now we're gonna get into all the nitty gritty of a full-on budget for the month. So, like we said before, it's gonna take about 3 months for you to get this well-oiled machine kind of thing going on. But January, most people don't have a lot going on in January. There's no big holidays. It's right after all the big rush, and there aren't too many birthdays in January. I mean, there's some, obviously, because people are still born every month, but...
Every day, every second.
Yeah. But, typically, they're born in the summer and spring because they get pregnant during the holidays now. So, think about that. Is there anything that you want to do for January? Are you buying something for somebody in February that you might want to add a little funds to in January to save up for that thing in February? That's something you need to think about. So... if you go to the email that we sent out, there's a full 25-page budget sheets, okay? So I know it's so big, it's long. So just kind of look at page 3. So Austin's going to pull up page 3 right now.
Here we go. We pull up page 3 of our little handout.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
Just kidding. So we already got it lined up here for you. Jeanette, come talk.
And so this is just kind of what we went through last week. And then we could also just post all the categories that we had. And so this is kind of a basic what you could do, right? And so then you go through this, you put all your stuff on here, and then you're going to consolidate your budget or reconcile your budget every week, and you're going to fill in the spent versus the budgeted because you need to know how much you're actually spending versus your budgeted. And then it has the percentages of the recommended percentages we talked about last week as well.
And this way you can get it down on paper. I know last week we were able to sit down with a few of you and do some financial snapshots and just give a quick little goal and idea of where to go with your budget. It's not too late if you want to send us some of those still. If you haven't, we can sit down with you and just give a goal for upcoming months, 2020, etc. But this basically will give you a more detailed look at those things. Maybe some of those things that we looked at last week weren't included on here, and so you can actually sit down and determine a more fine-tooth
comb.
Yep.
What affects you? Because not everything on here is going to affect you, and some of these things we don't do. So we took out, like disability insurance. We don't have that, or life insurance, or health insurance because
we have life insurance, but it's through somebody else. But yeah,
I mean, it's not something we pay for. It's separate.
Right.
It's already included. So those are things that you might need to take a look at that we are not on ours that you can take an example from. So scroll all the way down to the allocated budget 2 real quick.
This one?
Keep going. So this is the allocated spending plan where you say, okay, I get paid on the 1st and the 15th. That's what he gets paid, right? I get paid once a month. He gets paid twice a month. So then you'll say, okay, during these pay periods, this is what needs to come out of this paycheck because the rent is due on the 1st. So I need to take some pay from the last of the month, from the month before that, in order to pay for the first of the month. So that's something you need to like take a look at and kind of split it out and say, okay, when is this bill due? When is that bill due? And kind of split it out so that way you're not overextending one paycheck versus the other one. And
right, this is where you balance your budget.
Right.
Right, so yeah, it's kind of different. We were fine when we were mill to mill. We knew those paychecks would be coming on the 1st and 15th. We knew when it was lopsided. But if you have a what's it called? Irregular income, or maybe you're getting paid monthly, you might want to take a more detailed approach to this to figure out, hey, you know what? I don't have money at the end of the month because I'm spending it all in the beginning, and I can reallocate. Maybe have 2 checking accounts to help deviate funds and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's kind of what we do. We have a lot of different accounts, and we're able to deviate different balances to make sure that we're not cash heavy on one side.
Right. Which is great because at the end of the month, I still want to get my hair done or my nails done or whatever, and I want to make sure that it's in the budget. Like, you can do whatever you want, right? Buy whatever. As long as it's in the budget and you're planning for it and you have a plan for it, that's all that really matters when it comes to budgeting. It's not about being restrictive or not having things or not doing things.
It's having a plan for every single cent that you make, right? Because the way we think about it is that, from a spiritual standpoint, that God has entrusted us with this money and that we should use it to the best of our abilities. As the way we look at it is that we should be able to make sure that if God was employing us as a fund or manager of His funds,
right,
then would we still have a job? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are we doing it to the best of our abilities? And that's the way we look at it. You may not have a spiritual view to that, but I'm just gonna put that out there that that's normally how we look at our money is are we using this the best way we can?
Right. We're just stewards of the money that He gives us, and we try and act accordingly to that. Okay, so then the second thing we want to talk about is the emergency fund. So we kind of touched on this last week, but this is kind of big, okay? So emergency funds are for an emergency. So let's go through what an emergency is, first of all.
How much we should
and then how much you should have for it, and then when to actually use it. Okay.
This is technically baby step 1 of D.A. Ramsey's approach to getting out of debt. Is first start with $1,000 emergency fund.
Yes. So an emergency is something that you do not plan for that you have to have. Okay? This is like, oh my gosh, my air conditioning is leaking. I need to call somebody. And it's like 800 degrees in Las Vegas in the summer. This is my windshield got busted on the highway and I can't see out of my screen and I'm afraid that it's going to break my glass because it's 800 degrees in Las Vegas.
Those are all things that have happened to us.
Yes.
It's always 800 degrees here.
Yeah. This is my washing machine went out, and I need to do laundry. I don't have time to go to a laundromat. I don't even know where one is close to me, and I've got a toddler that needs clothes. Like, I can't live without this. These are literally things that we have used our emergency fund on in the last 2 years, right?
The last 2 years we've used our emergency fund on replacing a ceiling that had water damage, but we still haven't painted it because that's not part of our debt wall. Our air conditioner, a washing machine, 2 car windshields, pretty sure some tires.
So these are all things that were not planned, and they happened just on the fly.
Yeah.
That's what we use our emergency fund for. My washer and dryer still don't match, which I'm... Like, I grew up with a mom that was like, you have to have magical appliances and everything has to be the same name brand and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I realized? Who is going to be coming into my house looking at my washer and dryer? Nobody. Nobody comes to my house and looks at my washer and dryer. It's behind a room with a door. So the only person that has to see that is me. And you know what? I currently don't have the funds to buy a dryer, and I'm not putting it on credit because the dryer still works. So that's what it is. You need to have something for those emergencies. This is not for, oh, them J's just came out, I need to go cop them J's, I need to get them Yeezys. No, this is not for that. This is, oh, I want to go on vacation, I feel like I was really good this year, and I feel like I deserve it. First of all, no, you don't. Second of all, you don't need to go on that vacation. That's not what this emergency fund is for. You can have a vacation fund. I'm not knocking your hustle. Do that. Do you, boo-boo, but not for your emergencies. This is so you do not have to turn to your credit cards. This is so that way you do not have to come into more debt. This is to stop that cycle of turning to credit or debt or financing or anything like that for an emergency. This is so that way I have the cash in order to do something if something happens. Yeah. Because it will. I mean,
it will.
That's
it's
just
not
life.
If it will rain, it's when it will rain.
Yes.
Right? So we're just
100%.
preparing ourselves for that. And like the analogy I like to use is you wouldn't drive down the road without a windshield, right? Because when a rock kicks up, it would hit you in the face. Well, the windshield is that $1,000 emergency fund. And if you don't have it, you will get hit in the face by rocks.
Yes.
Right? So get yourself a windshield, get yourself a $1,000 emergency fund so that you can stop getting hit in the face by rocks that you didn't see coming.
Yeah. That's your first step. After you understand the budget, understand where all your money is going, save that. So if it's $1,000, it's either $1,000 or 1 month's rent or mortgage whatever that is. Because ours is a little bit more than $1,000, so we save that to make sure that, like, if something were to happen, I can at least cover my house.
Yeah.
I need that. Like, my baby needs a place to sleep. At a minimum, that's what has to happen. If you live in base housing, girl, more power to you. That means that you just have to save $1,000 and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about housing. I mean, if something happens, you don't have to worry about your spouse or you getting kicked out of the military in like 5 seconds. It takes a couple months. So you have time to save up that money. Like, you will see it coming. Then, the second thing is talking about the debt snowball. So, this is where everybody's kind of like, all right, we're going to pay off debt. Yeah, this is it. So this is the part that you really want to pay attention to.
Yep. So this is baby step 2. Yes. This is when your money starts actually working towards a progressive goal that you've set for yourself, right? So once you have that $1,000 emergency fund, you've buffered yourself away from your credit cards and your debt, depending on what it is.
Right.
And you've stopped using and making more debt.
Yes.
Right? Now
cut them cards, girl. Cut them cards.
Now you can sit down and you can line up your debts that are not your mortgage. So your mortgage is a liquidatable asset and has a security behind it. So we talk about that later on.
Right.
But all your debts that have no securities, and including your cars and things like that, we just line those all up from smallest to largest, and we're gonna pay minimum balances on everything except for the smallest sum, and that you're gonna pay the most you can out of your budget into that.
So ours was, we had 2 cards, we had a Lowe's card, 2 star cards. Oh yeah, 2 Lowe's cards, 2 star cards. I had a Visa card,
and
we had personal loans.
2 personal loans.
2 personal loans.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So we lined them all up. So the first thing that we paid off was, I think, the Lowe's card because it had the lowest balance. So everything else we paid off, just the minimum $25 or $50, whatever that minimum payment was. We just paid that consistently. We weren't late on our things. We made sure that we were paying them on time. We knew that we weren't getting anywhere with those cards particularly, but every cent that we had extra, we threw at that Lowe's card. So you knew what that meant? That Lowe's card was gone like that.
Yeah, so within the next few months, you see the dramatic difference in the one card, and then you're able to apply the sum of that to the next snowballed debt.
Right. So we were spending like $400 a month on that one card, knocking it out. It took us like a month and a half. I think it was like $700. So it took us like a month and a half, and that $400 plus the minimum payment of the next card, which was one of the star cards, went together, and then that's how much we were paying on that card at that point in time. So it was like $425, maxing out that star card, hitting it hard, knocking it out.
So as you can see, when you start applying it, the debt snowball, the sums that you're able to pay should free up more cards and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're able to apply a lot of principal payments towards debts that are bigger. Why people don't do percentage rates is because percentage rates prevent momentum. The percentage rate only is in favor of the bank, right? So it's theoretically a penalty. So when you're saying like, hey, I'm paying a 15% penalty on this card when I pay it, right? And if you do it based on percentage rates, normally the higher sum has a lesser percentage. So basically, you'll get halfway through paying a $20,000 debt, and you'll be so burnt out because you feel like you'll be getting nowhere.
You see nothing.
Yeah.
You're not. There's no boxes being colored in. You're not checking anything off. It's just like, why am I doing this? This sucks. This is not fun.
And you'll just slip back into debt. But when you see all the things getting paid off, and you see the momentum, and you see the freed up money, you start to feel free, and start to like loosen the chains and understand that, I'm progressing towards my goals. I'm progressing towards the life I want to start living. So that's what I have to say about this debt snowball is that it is like probably the most advantageous way about paying off all of your debts.
And once you start doing that, it's just like you said, it's just like freedom. Because I was like, all right, I cut up this, we cut up all the cards, right? We did that first. And then once the Lowe's card was gone, I was like, I don't have to worry about them ever calling me. I don't owe them anything ever again. Like, everything is gone. It was the greatest feeling. And then on top of that, we started cash flowing other things that we wanted. So we were in the middle of a PCS, so there's some stuff that we had to do. My grandmother passed away during that time, so we had to go to New York. We didn't use credit cards for that. We cash flowed that. That means that I used just cash to get there, and then I had him drive up to New York because that's what we could afford at the time. And he came later on. And
we worked with our budget, and we cut things that we needed to, and when we, lived off rice and beans and rice, and just was able to make the changes and sacrifices we needed, and felt uncomfortable for a while, but sometimes difficulty and uncomfortability is what creates progress, and that's just the nature of the beast.
And I will say, I think it brought us closer together because we were both like in it together, and we were both, I wouldn't say suffering, but we were both like going through this hard time of like not spending as much as we wanted to on different things, and I would say no to certain things to him, and then he'd look at me and be like, no babe, can't do that, and I'd be like, oh, you're right, you know what I'm saying? Because we have this shared goal of getting out of debt and being able to go on this dream vacation, and that's what was really holding us together, was like, all right babe, yeah, we're gonna do this together, we're gonna do this, we're gonna hold each other accountable, it's gonna be hard and it's gonna suck, but we're gonna do this together.
Yeah. That's why you need an accountability partner in this, or if you're married, you need to come together with your spouse and have them to be on the same page about your vision and your ideas of where you're going with together as a singular mass travel.
We are one.
Paying off our debts.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you're not going to have arguments, and that doesn't mean you're not going to have a difference of opinion. That just means at the end of the day, when you rest your head on your pillow, you're going to understand that you and that other individual are going to be working towards a singular outcome.
And they've got your back. They're in it together, and you guys, like you said, have your back. So another thing you can do in order to not get impatient, I just want this to be done, is to have a side hustle. So the first thing that we started doing was just like selling our stuff. Like when we were in Virginia, we had a bigger house than we have now, so we got here and we started just like purging stuff, plus it was clutter, so we're just like sell. I don't care how much you want to buy it, just get out of my house and buy it, right? The second thing we started doing was so he would flip things on Facebook Marketplace. He would buy stuff on Facebook and then sell it on eBay. He bought some like really rare, I forgot what it was. It was something that came out on Black Friday, and he bought it and he flipped it on eBay for like, I don't know, double the price or something like that. Yeah,
so there's a lot of arbitrage out there. If that's not for you, there's a lot of different side hustles that you can take up. There's even like whole YouTubes dedicated to different side hustles on how you can make money. You could go on Craigslist free, and you could pick up someone's free table that's on the curb, and you could bring it back to your house and flip it on Facebook Marketplace for like $50, and someone's gonna come over to your house and pick it up. It's the amount of things out there that are at your fingertips with the internet. It's almost a non-excuse to say that you can't develop or generate more income for yourself that you can be used to pay off debt. The average American has $300 to $400 worth of unused electronics in their home, and just sitting there, and it's not doing anything but taking up space. One of the things me and Jeanette are trying to do even today, even though we've paid off our debt besides our home, is that we're trying to just declutter our home in terms of living more, not more minimalist, but having less things, because less things take your time, less things will take your time, less things will take your energy and things like that. If I have more clothes, then I'll have to wash more clothes and all that stuff. So if you can focus your intention on developing incomes or developing different side hustles, there's plenty of avenues out there.
Plus, it's like gotta be something that you enjoy, right? So one of our friends is doing the VIP kids thing, so she'll wake up early in the morning before her kids wake up, and before her husband wakes up, she'll teach these kids in China how to speak English, and she makes pretty good side hustle money. So that's what she's doing for one of her side hustles. I mean, it just depends on what you like. Like, we sold clothes on Poshmark. We'd take pictures of it and then ship things out. It was easy for us at that point in time because of the way our lifestyle worked. But you just gotta figure out what works for you. If you're good at something, somebody will pay you for it. You just gotta figure out how to market yourself to get money for that.
Yeah, and there's a website out there for like Upwork or Fiverr or lots of freelance things. If you're a graphic artist, non-graphic artist, if you're a cook, whatever it is, there's something out there for you. And it's out there, it's online, it's at your fingertips. So that's one of the ways we generated a lot of income to pay off our debts,
right?
Or to just maybe even we had a budget that was towards our debts. But if we made extra money, then we would be able to cash flow different things that weren't in our budget, because that was just money we weren't expecting to get.
So that's our last thing. Okay, so in our newsletter this week, you will see pretty much everything we talked about today, which was our emergency fund, what that means, how much to start with your debt snowball, and then listing all your non-mortgage debts, smallest to largest, and then make minimum payments, and then try and attack the debts, smallest to largest, and how to do it, right?
So this is more of a detailed approach to what we were talking about. We kind of gave you a general overview of what to look at in the debt snowball. And if you felt like you missed anything, or if you felt like we didn't explain it that well, you can ask, or you can take a look at this little infographic we sent out. It'll let you know a more detailed approach on paying off your debt, smallest to largest, and how you can go about just putting it down on paper and getting your goal set. And I mean, 2020. I think it's a great start to developing your goals and developing your vision in your new life
just
without debt.
Yourself, yeah. At least, if you guys don't get anything out of this, if you guys don't close your credit cards, the biggest thing I would say is stop using them. Cash flow everything. If those are the only two things you take out of this class, do those two things.
Yeah.
Stop using your credit cards, close them, cut them up, and cash flow everything.
And those things will definitely prevent you from living paycheck to paycheck.
100%.
And the emergency fund. So
Yes.
the emergency fund is going to allow you to make those changes that you need to make. Because without that, then you're driving without a windshield.
Yep. So, I think that was pretty much all we have for you guys today. If you guys have any questions about the January budget, just send us a message. We do want to see your January budget just so we can help you guys get just a really clean look at what that looks like and your debt snowball, so we can make sure that we got everything in there. This includes your cell phones on your cell phone plans. If it's not paid off, this includes that. So just think about that too.
That's a debt, and anything that has a liability against it that you're on the hook for.
Yeah. Anything you can't just walk away from.
Yeah, and then some of the upcoming lessons will be how to fine-tune your budgets and how to cut out some of the bigger items that maybe you're overpaying for.
Right.
Maybe like cell phone bills, insurances, things like that. So to be ready for that, just expect that maybe your budget looks a little bulky right now, but we'll teach you how to thin those things out in a future web live event.
In future weeks of Debt Boot Camp. Words are hard. It's at night. Alright, guys. So we want to say Merry Christmas.
Yep, Merry Christmas. We'll see you in next week. If just...
Yeah. Alright.
Drop what you're doing for Christmas in the comments. If you're excited, if you're not excited, just tell us what you're doing. If you're staying home with family, if you're going out. We're staying here for Christmas. This is our first Christmas here, just as our family, hanging out. It's going to be great. Or what your favorite family tradition is. We don't have any great family traditions yet. So.
Okay.
See you guys in the next one.
Night.